Chapter 7. Do not think that by learning the basic principles of toxic magic that a world of ease and bliss will automatically open to you. The practice of toxic magic is hard and the traps are many. One of the worst and most dangerous traps is the food chain. Every good manipulator knows exactly where he is on the food chain at any moment in time. The concept in and of itself often separates a real toxic magician from the pretenders. The food chain concept explicitly states that we are in a constant process of consuming each other and being consumed by each other. There are no free lunches, and each encounter demands knowledge of who is going to consume whom. Some people prefer to look upon this as trading. After all, we are human, aren't we? But no, we consume each other all the time, often in subtle ways, but nonetheless we live off the flesh and blood of everyone we meet. In fact, right now, each of us is living off the flesh and blood of people we haven't met, and others are living off of us. However, the manipulator knows how to delve into and apply the most subtle forms of strength or weakness to accomplish his ends. One imperative technique is the ability to evaluate what each person wants to consume, the style he consumes it in, and the utensils he uses. Everyone wants something, even if it is to give away something for free. Some people are so overburdened that the greatest way to consume them is to not let them help you. By doing this, the practitioner can create situations in which he can get something from a person that they didn't wish to give. But be aware, you are also food, and knowing how to be consumed, ergo eaten or used, is imperative in your practice. If you are really outclassed, acknowledge this to yourself. If you don't accept the fact gracefully, you will damage yourself severely. Trying to pull yourself up to your adversary, or trying to pull your adversary down to yourself, is another common error. This can cause unnecessary pain and destruction. Evaluating the complex and ever-changing positions on the food chain is one of the finest applications of your capabilities. Once you have ascended to the position of influence in this area and practice the method to its fullest extent, you will automatically release a vast reservoir of your natural power. But under no circumstances should you undervalue the power of knowing how to evaluate the power of food chain consciousness. Do not be put to sleep by platitudes or niceties. You are always being looked at in terms of use, and use means consumption. Thus, always be prepared to learn new methods of food chain evaluation. To do this, you will have to lose, at least for a while, much more than you will win. One of the secrets in this area is learning how to disguise your scent with marinades. The master trusts everyone, that is, he trusts everyone to be human. No matter what disguise each and every person puts on, they are out for their own perception of their best interest, which includes their own self-destruction. Almost everyone denies that self-destruction is one of their primary goals, but no matter how much they deny it, they practice it. Self-destruction makes way for new and possibly more interesting life forms, but it also allows people to cope with their own feelings of helplessness. Everyone feels helpless in one way or another. There's no way out of it except to destroy yourself. Self-destruction is control, and some control, no matter how painful it might seem, is better than no control at all. Most so-called insane people are nothing more than bad control junkies. So are most drunks and addicts. They are very aware of how little control they have, except, however, to numb themselves, create artificial delusions of grandeur, and finally to destroy themselves, and in the process cause pain to the world which refused them. This feeling exists only in their own imagination. I have known a number of people who have attempted suicide, and one of their prime fantasies is watching others cry over them and hate themselves for the way they treated the poor dead martyr. If you were there and could have overheard some of these inadequate control junkies, you would have laughed yourself silly, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised that some of them, after hearing your laughter, would go right out and try it again. In the process of understanding the food chain, it is imperative to keep in mind the kind of diet you prefer. Some toxic magicians like different types of subjects to manipulate than do others. For example, some like women while others prefer men. Ergo, I for one like to help women get what they want. However, it is imperative to keep in mind that since toxic vampirism is highly sophisticated and intricate, it is important to know that some practitioners go on particular types of diets before they attempt certain manipulations or activities, ergo rituals. Knowing what types of people to consume and when to consume them can be highly effective in determining the success or failure of a specific venture. Another way to understand this issue is based on the metaphor of meat eaters and vegetarians. Under certain circumstances, a meat eater must go on a vegetarian diet in order to heal an illness or lose weight. The same holds true with toxic magic. Certain psychic diets, ergo, which in this case means the consumption of the energy of certain types of people, is necessary before embarking on a particular experiment or project. Eat the psychic food of others which best suits your temperament and the temperament of your operation. If you are going to try a magical operation which requires immense strength, you might try controlling someone you have never controlled before. However, if you fail, you might find that you will need to wait a while before you have enough strength to try again. Be careful not to overindulge or overdo it. Draining people of energy can sometimes have a rebound effect, particularly if you can't stomach the results. It is like buying a puppy dog and feeling possessed by its following you around all the time. You might have been better off with a cat or a snake. Be careful of what you want, particularly if you do not know how to balance the operation. The balance of any operation counts on the mixture of ingredients which goes into making up the whole meal. And for some people, looking at a ritual as if it were the preparation of a fine meal is an excellent device to guarantee a successful operation. Sometimes a meal which appears out of balance, ergo such as an all-meat diet, may be the exact thing for the forces which you plan to deal with. Sometimes alcohol or other substances can backfire on an operation which requires focused conscious thought, while at other times alcohol might be exactly the right ingredients to make the operation a success. Regardless of what you decide on eating, both psychically or physically, normally overindulgence will not prove to be useful. In fact, few operations which concern money, sex, or power benefit from overindulgence. If you feel that overindulgence is necessary, wait until the operation is completed. The higher powers and forces sometimes appreciate a great feast afterwards, both to signify your commitment to them and defeat a particular entity. This issue brings up a very important point. You must reward entities which assist you and punish entities which either harm or interfere with your work. When you are evaluating someone on the food chain, it is important to take into account the quality of their brain and the beauty or ugliness of their body. Extracting energy from dull-witted or very ugly people while still energy can cause psychic indigestion. This idea follows from the old axiom, be careful who you hang out with, you might become like them. This fact is often ignored not only in the simple day-to-day operations between people, but in the area of toxic magic. Although a master can normally offset this effect, most apprentices are not yet strong enough to accomplish this, particularly if they are surrounded by parasites and defeatists. Under these conditions, it is best to stay away from these people, especially if there are too many of them gathered in a single place. On the other hand, if there are a few, simply take control of them. Do not allow them to influence you. Build a shield around them first, and if that doesn't work, get away. But don't build a constant shield around yourself, because it might inhibit other work which you might be doing. Personal shield building is only necessary under certain conditions. Since the power of the practitioner is a function of both natural superiority and intense practice, it is important to choose the right times and places for practice, as well as the right victims for your operations. Chapter 8. As more people find that they are innately toxic, some competition will tend to break out between practitioners. This is natural, since at this time in our history, more people are being born with the talent of manipulating darkness and participating in the destruction of normal humans. I often feel overjoyed when I found out that some worn out, impotent to our futures and the futures of the developing life forms has been destroyed, or has become so rigid that its own operating system is failing. For example, consider the effects of ever-increasing overpopulation. For normal people, this is a worry because of the drain of resources. For the toxic magician, it is a joy, particularly because it is a drain of resources. He scoffs at such notions or problems. Every problem is simply an opportunity to fuel the feeding frenzy. Groups that hate each other and wish to destroy each other are simply tools for the manipulator. For example, the periodic satanic scares, witch hunts, over our organized child abuse, and all TV media events are viewed first as jokes and then as proof that this particular species has reached the end of its utility. charity. This species is simply a resource for the latent hidden viruses of this planet, much as this planet may be a resource for another planet. The entire process is a food chain which the master actively supports and utilizes for his comfort and fun. He knows that everything is part of the problem and that there are no solutions from a conventional point of view. He knows that millions die daily and millions are born to take their place. He knows that the planet is alive as the stomach is alive, it digests everything. The manipulator always contributes to the problem, even when he gives millions of dollars to charity. He knows that each mini solution will lead to a greater and bigger problem in the long run. He knows that a vaccine which will save lives will, in the long run, actually destroy more lives or let the wrong people die and the wrong people live. Few people have the strength and fortitude to stare directly into the eyes of the future forms which are preparing to take our place. Few can stand the face of the Superman. Few can bear the horrors that await and no one can stop them. Every law enacted is just another nail in the coffin, and to watch the true believer suffer and to be tortured is a great joy. It feeds you. It is important to have a number of separate, independent, and different food sources to feed and maintain you, depending on your ever-changing needs. For example, I engage in friendships and dialogues with people who normally would hate each other, but who I use for sustenance and enthusiasm. Both satanic cults and Christian fundamentalists are closer to seeing the truth than most normal people. Something is going on, but it's not what they think. The beast is staring out from each pair of eyes you see. Each glance in the mirror is the story of this world, and the toxic magician loves mirrors. Each time he sees his face, he sees the self-destroying power of the species and the planet. This is his true freedom, which transcends any cult and any cult hero. He knows that each person suffers silently and secretly, and each person is constantly making up stories to hide his own hideousness from himself and others. He has the strength and fortitude to face the void and see the beast deep within, eating its way out. He knows that flesh is mostly for pain, that pleasure is more fleeting, and pain is more enduring. He laughs into the cosmic belly of hell as the beast consumes him. Every time people have children, the toxic magician is overjoyed, for he knows that within this little bundle is suffering, death, and destruction. He is overjoyed with hope that each little bundle contains the seed of the next monster.